Hi guys, Neha here. I don't even know where to begin making a video like this, but today I wanted to talk about something really special, and so I wanted to present it to you in a way that I haven't done before. But before I begin, for those of you who are new to my page and aren't as familiar with my work, I am a visual artist and a fashion designer. I am also the founder of Ugni, which is a streetwear brand that I created. And so basically today I'm here to announce that my brand Ugni is coming out with a fashion collection in collaboration with Namaslay Designs, which is a jewelry brand founded by my closest friend here, Sonam Naidu. I know you guys always see us posting about each other and hyping each other up, but we have been teasing this for a while, I know, and now we are finally ready to share more about this. And in this video, I'm just going to touch a little bit about being an artist and a creative person, being an entrepreneur, and just the power of creatives here on the internet coming together to create a collection and dive deeper into the process of how something goes from artwork and a series of sketches to physical product to a campaign, and how we create messages in our work. And so I am gonna tell you guys all about this fashion collection, and hopefully you find this insightful in some way. But to start, to preface this whole journey and how this fashion collection came about, I'm first going to talk about how Sonam and I met. And again, Sonam is the founder of Namaslay Designs. So basically, this collection has been something that has been in the works for 2 years now. And so our whole story began here on Instagram, actually, at the end of 2018. We had actually both just discovered each other's brand pages, and we were just very impressed with each other's work and aesthetic. And I remember she saw my page and I saw her page, and we both were just thinking, wow, like we have so much in common, especially because the two of us are self-proclaimed maximalists. We both love color and experimenting. We're both very edgy with our fashion. So to meet someone here on the internet whose work you can really resonate with was something that was very special for the both of us, because especially from a creative standpoint, finding someone whose aesthetic is so true to your own is very rare. And so we were immediately just impressed with each other, and we started DMing, and we kept in touch for several months. And at that point, neither of us thought that this would lead to anything, but you can never say never, because fast forward a few months later to spring of 2019, and just on a complete whim, Sonam messages me and she says, hey, I am thinking of planning a trip to Minneapolis. And for those of you who don't know, I am from Minneapolis. Sonam is from LA, and so we don't even live in the same city. But she messages me saying, hey, I'm considering coming out to Minneapolis. My fiance has some work that he is doing here, and so I was thinking of coming along to meet you. And of course I said yes. I was just so happy that she was coming, and immediately the both of us just got so excited and came up with plans instantly to bring our brands together by just styling her jewelry and my clothing pieces together. And we started out with this idea for a bunch of different lookbooks to put together. And some of you may remember those photos that we put out, but at the end, she was here for about a week, and at the end of the trip, we sat down right here in this room on my floor, totally exhausted, and just wrote down on my whiteboard a bunch of ideas of things that we can do to elevate our craft and to get together and just create something even grander than what we just did. So this is something that has truly morphed into a true testament of the power of the internet these days, and how two people from totally different walks of life who don't even live in the same city can come together to create something meaningful and powerful. So that was just the beginning. And next, I'm going to dive into why we made this collection and how it came about. So as I had said before, both of us are huge maximalists. We both love detail. We're both very intricate in our aesthetic and the way we like to present ourselves. So it started out as this celebration of maximalism, to say it in the simplest way. And as things evolved, we decided to call this collection More is More, because I think that just perfectly describes people like us who are always trying to do the most. And so it really became a passion of challenging our designed concepts and trying to level up our brands. But before I get even deeper into that, one of the reasons why this came about from the fashion perspective, from Agni's perspective, is going back to why I started this in the first place, and that's because I'm very passionate about dualities. And so for those of you who don't know, the name Agni itself means fire in Hindi. And the reason why I chose that name was because I always think about this metaphor when thinking about fire, and that is that fire has this duality where on one hand it can burn and it's dangerous and it has this fierceness to it, but on the other hand it is also something that brings light and can be used to illuminate dark spaces, which can kind of refer to spreading your light, bringing positivity. So while on one hand there's light and positivity, we also have our dark side, our fierceness, our power. And so I think that's applicable to people and fashion as well. Everything has a duality. We can always be moving and empowering just as much as we can be fierce and daring. And so like every collection that I put out, it's always about celebrating dualities. And I think this collection in particular, the More is More collection, definitely hits that theme the hardest, because there are just so many layers to what we're presenting here. So that's why I wanted to just go back and explain our brand message, at least for Agni, and how that was a driving factor in the inspiration for this collaboration. And another reason why we made this was because we were both at a point with our brands where we wanted to elevate as entrepreneurs, especially as small businesses without a whole lot of resources. You can't always start out creating things that you necessarily want to. You always have to start small and then work your way up. So for me, from the fashion perspective, I started out just screen printing t-shirts, which wasn't my dream. I always wanted to elevate my fashion and design, intricate, detailed things like dresses and pants and everything in custom textiles, but that was not something that I could do right off the bat. So of course we always have to start with something easy and something small and then get more advanced as time goes on. So the same was also true for Sonam and Namaslay as well. She was in a place where she wanted to take the simple things that she had started out with and just go in a whole new direction. So the fact that both of us wanted to level up our craft and get better and explore new techniques was why this collection came about. So now another important thing to mention here is that the goal of this collection was to create something that has a lot of layers to it and really create something that has just as many visual elements as it has conceptual elements with the message. And so on one hand, while you're seeing a lot going on with the look of things and how there's a lot of colors, textures, detailed artwork, a lot of layering with techniques going on, at the same time we wanted to have a lot to say with the message and creating something that is a representation of who we are as artists and something that expresses our personal stories, our design philosophies, and also shares the stories of not just us but other creative people too, and something that the artist community can resonate with. And to summarize, we wanted to create fashion that is really representative of being one with your craft, being one with art. So to talk a little bit more about the message here, it really plays off the saying, doing the most. And I feel like that is something that is said often about content creators and a lot of people here on the internet, is that, oh, she's always doing the most, like, oh, she's always so extra. And so we wanted to take that phrase and really turn it upside down. So when thinking of the phrase doing the most, one of the first things that came to mind for both of us was kind of our journey as artists, and how when you are a creative person, it's sometimes very difficult to explain everything that we do in just one sentence. We both kind of thought back to instances where, when we're catching up with old friends or family who aren't involved in this field, when they want to know what's up with us, oftentimes people kind of expect like a one-sentence answer. But what we do is something that has so many layers to it, it can't be expressed that easily. And so sometimes it's hard to find the words because, for example, me personally as an artist, I am wearing so many different hats all the time. On one hand, I am an artist, I am an illustrator, I am also a graphic designer, I am an entrepreneur, I am a fashion designer, a pattern maker, a seamstress, a web designer, a photographer, a makeup artist. I am wearing so many different hats at all times, and it's tough to explain that to someone else and to boil down the essence of your creativity into something simple that people can understand. So that made us think about the question, what does it mean to be multifaceted as a creative person today? That question in itself was the whole basis of the campaign that we created. And so in all the photos that we're going to share, you're going to see not just Sonam and I featured as models, but several other artists in the industry as well, all doing a whole range of different things. They're featured in all of our images as well because we wanted to showcase all the different things that different creatives are doing. And one thing to keep in mind is with this whole collection, everything is a metaphor. It's this craziness and the bold patterns and the art and just the fact that it's so artistic. It all alludes back to this message of, what we're saying with our personal journeys, but also what each of these models are bringing to the table, and that question of what does it mean to be multifaceted as an artist. And each model portrays it in a different way. And so it kind of goes back to our personal philosophies about art, and that is that we both believe in art being very fluid. To explain that, I think there's always a lot of pressure as artists to stick to one thing, but I think art can go in any direction. Why do we always have to be put into a box and be labeled as one thing? Art, like I said, is fluid, and I just believe that we should have the freedom to go between mediums, which is why having so many different creatives involved in the lookbook of this whole collection, that was meant to represent this whole concept of art being fluid and the freedom to move between mediums and to be able to explore and show that when you are a creative person, there's always just going to be so much to your story, not just what you see at surface level. Now to talk about the final aspect of all of this, and that is the design inspiration and how I created things from the fashion perspective. Sonam will talk more about the jewelry inspiration, but to dive into what inspired me, first and foremost, my process, which is a little different than what most fashion designers do, but because I have a background as an illustrator and as an artist, my clothing designs always start from artwork first, and then the silhouettes and the details of the clothing come second. And so I created a total of, I think, 5 illustrations. 2 of them you guys have already seen me share on my page, but you'll see a lot of repeating themes within the artwork. So you're going to see this repeating imagery of a diamond, and I chose that because I wanted something a bit more literal to represent empowerment. Even the process of how a diamond is physically made, going from, a rock in dirt, and after several years and a lot of pressure, morphing into this beautiful thing. I think that's something that is representative of people, and it's something I always want to show with my fashion, is that you yourself are pretty amazing and you should celebrate that and feel good about it. And so that's kind of what the diamond alludes to, is self-empowerment and showing women of color in a positive light and creating something where women are just being very bold with the way that they are shown, because I wanted to create something that was much more modern and that also encapsulated this complicated sense of identity that we have today, where we are celebrating our heritage but also being mindful of the modern world that we live in today, and again, this all ties back to the concept of dualities, showing culture, but also showing something fun and something new and something that's a testament to the times that we live in today and modern women who are doing so many different things. So the artwork is a duality of elevating empowerment to include a new message. But other than that, some of the other inspirations that I had were vintage Chanel ads. And so there were these really cool advertisements from back in the day where they were wearing these really beautiful chunky jewelry and had total statement sequins and very like eye-catching designs. And lastly, what I'll talk about is from a technical standpoint. And for me, that was exploring my own custom textiles. So with this collection, it was the first time I was able to take my artwork and turn that into a series of repeating patterns that I was able to print and then take those textiles and turn it into wearable art. So that was something that was really special for me because normally in all my previous collections I would hand screen print all of my artwork, and seeing your work in screen printed format is one thing, but when you see your artwork in textile format as a full-on fabric with repeating artwork is so awesome. And so the fact that I was able to do that with this clothing was really great because that's actually something I've always wanted to do from the start. I've always wanted to do something that has a heavy emphasis on custom textiles. Also, I made a real effort to combine different types of fabrics this time. So I was big on combining different types of textures. So you'll see in a lot of the garments, you'll have cotton, but then there'll be bits of satin and embroidery. There's also lace involved, and so I'm taking a lot of different textures that don't normally fit together and trying to make them work. So that's another element that I was excited about. And finally, just to really push the boundaries of my designs because I was so used to at this point to just sticking to simple things. This was the first time that I was really allowing myself to think outside of the box. So to even, create an asymmetrical dress and a coordinating set that has elements of both a pant and a skirt, creating matching jogger sets but using totally different Indian-inspired fabrics, doing things that are just not what you would expect. That was something that made me really happy to be able to just take my sense of design and my pattern making and taking that to a whole nother area that it's never been to before. So that pretty much wraps up my spiel about this collection. So thank you for being here and listening to us talk about something we're so passionate about. And that being said, if you have a chance, it would really mean a lot to us if you would take just a few minutes to check out the collection. Go follow our pages at Of Me Style and at Namaslay Designs. So please support the collection if you enjoyed this. If any of this resonated with you, definitely share. And we are always open to feedback, so definitely let us know your thoughts. And yeah, I know I'm rambling on a bit now, but thank you for tuning in, and hopefully we'll be sitting here and doing more videos like this.